All right. Hello, everyone. This is the Mgtow Cowboy. Greetings and salutations. It's a pleasure to speak with all of you again, and I wanted to make another video about propaganda. And I'm going to call this video something like, I don't know, leftist propaganda is omnipresent, or feminist propaganda is everywhere, or something like that. And I am at least partially excuse me I'm at least partially inspired to make this video from watching one of my favorite videos by Gentleman Knight, where he talks about the same subject, and so I wanted to make a similar video. It has happened before where I've watched a television show and I will see reoccurring themes over and over. And these reoccurring themes are many. And I also noticed that not just on television, but in other mediums of communication, I'll see the same types of messages. So these types of messages will appear on the television, increasingly on the internet, in newspapers, in magazines, on the radio, short stories, editorials, like op-eds in so-called scholarly journals, like the Atlantic or something. And they all basically push leftist, Marxist, cultural Marxist, and feminist propaganda. I remember listening to, I'm not going to say his name, his initials are A and J, and his last name is Jones. And he's known for a lot of conspiracy theorizing. And increasingly, a lot of his stuff has become true. I remember listening to him once, and he was talking about how, this is just one example, I'll give several, but this is just one. He was talking about how rare it is to see on television a man and a woman of the same ethnic and racial background. And that increasingly, all you see, or disproportionately, what you'll see is mixed race couples. A very common one will be a white woman with a black man. Or increasingly popular is a white man with an Asian, like a Chinese-looking or Asian woman. And I remember years ago listening, I can't remember what episode, whatever. I was listening to AJ, and he was talking. He said something like, "You know what you almost never see anymore? You never see a blonde man with a blonde woman with kids, going for a picnic or something, enjoying themselves outside or something like that." And at the time, I gave it a thought. But now I would say that I agree with that. I just don't see that. I don't see that in any of the advertisements that I see, or in television or in television or anything. And there are other examples. So that's one message. I think that's sort of, so essentially I think that the powers that be are pushing the idea of race mixing. I want to talk about some of the other examples, or some of the other themes, the reoccurring themes, or the reoccurring messages. That's one of them. Another message I think that they push is that guns are bad, and that by extension, people who have guns and people who like guns are bad. And I'm going to refer to Gentleman Knight. He was talking about in his video how he was, I can't remember all the details. He was with a friend, some lady friend from like law school, and they were hanging out, and so they're both like law school people. They like watching stuff about law. They were watching SVU, Special Victims Unit, the Law and Order show, and it's got a lot of law in there. So they're watching it, and he couldn't help but notice that in the show, the gun owners were constantly being demonized. And these were not like, criminal street thugs going around, knocking off liquor stores and, just committing crimes. These were highly responsible gun owners who registered their guns with the government, and they have jobs and careers, and they like to keep their guns for self-defense. And he even mentioned how in the show they specifically decided to arrest him at the gun range, and how he just found that to be so over the top. It's just it's a lie. It's BS. And I completely agree with him. Though people like that who own guns are, in my opinion, some of the most responsible people in our society. They don't go around robbing people, and they're professionals, and they decide to keep guns for sport and for defense. But for whatever reason, the 5 or 6 major corporations that control most of the news channel, the television stations, they're all against that. They're totally against that, and so they constantly demonize those people. Other messages are other themes or recurring themes that I see. Again, race mixing. White people are bad. White men especially are bad. All men are pretty much bad. Christians, people of the Christian faith, Christians are bad. Private property is bad. Owning private property is bad. Capitalism is bad. Cars. Owning cars. Cars are bad. We should all be on bikes. Private property, cars. There's others. Let me think. I can't think of anything else offhand. There's probably a myriad. There's way more. But the point is, there's this constant, steady drip. It's almost like we're all bathing in this just toxic bath that these mega corporations that they make for us, and it's inescapable almost, and you actually have to make a concerted effort to avoid most of it. And that's why I recommend to all the Mgtow guys, don't poison your mind with all this stuff. Don't watch TV. When you're online and you see these commercials, understand that you're being attacked psychologically. Understand that you're purposely being forced to see, and you're purposely being exposed to ideas that you may not necessarily agree with, but for some reason these people feel the need to push this in your face, and you should see it as a hostile action. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Just to recap, I think that we live in a society that is so heavily controlled by certain corporations that a lot of propaganda it's inescapable. It's omnipresent, and it operates like a slow drip. It constantly is trying to invade your psyche. And the first step is to recognize that it's there. And ultimately, you want to get to a point where you avoid it, number one, and number two, you can easily recognize it when you see it. And thus, when it's being put upon you, it helps you when you can recognize it, because then you can more easily resist it. So I'll leave it at that. You guys have a good rest of your evening. If you like my content, of course, please like, please share, please comment down below, and please subscribe. All right, this is the Mgtow Cowboy. Over and out, guys. Mgtow up.